The River Uloma shimmered under the noonday sun, its waters carrying the scent of wet reeds and wildflowers. Queen Olama of Onitura sat beneath the ancient silk-cotton tree, her ankles buried in the cool shallows. Her hand stroked her rounded belly in slow circles. "This river has always been my comfort," she murmured to herself. She had come alone save for two handmaidens standing discreetly at a distance, for she loved her private moments by the water. But that day, the sharp, unexpected clutch of pain made her gasp. "It's time!" One handmaiden cried, rushing to support her. The birth was quick, almost frighteningly so, and when the child emerged, the queen's breath caught. The baby's skin was pale as milk, his hair bright gold, a color she had never seen on a child in her kingdom. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. The king's face flashed in her mind, stern, proud, unyielding. He would demand answers she could not give. Before the midwives could even wrap the child, she whispered, "I'm sorry, my son," and, with trembling hands, placed him in a woven reed basket. She set him afloat on the river's slow current, tears blurring her vision until the tiny figure disappeared into the light. Her body ached, but her heart ached more. Beneath the surface, Queen Nereia of the merfolk felt the disturbance, the cry of a newborn carried on the water. She surged upward, her long silver hair trailing like streams of moonlight, and found the basket. The child's breathing was shallow, his lips tinged blue. She cradled him in her arms and whispered the ancient blessing of the deep. "You are mine now. You will be safe here." She named him Leif. In the years that followed, Leif grew strong in the coral halls of the merfolk kingdom. He learned to swim before he could walk, to listen to the currents, and to read the language of bubbles. Nereia treated him as her heir, the prince of the waters. Still, at night, he sometimes dreamt of a woman's face, dark-eyed, framed by a crown, though he had no memory of ever meeting her. Back in Onitura, Queen Olama returned to the palace that same day with empty arms. Her absence from the king's side during the birth was explained away by claiming she had visited a distant shrine for blessings. A week later, she presented an infant to the court, a boy from a hidden orphanage, whose skin and hair matched the royal line. The people rejoiced. The king was pleased. But in the privacy of her chambers, the queen's mask would break. She would sit by the window at night, eyes on the river's faint shimmer in the moonlight, imagining her lost child. Would he be tall now? Would he smile like me? Or would he have his father's cold stare? Would he hate me if he knew what I had done? More than once, she had ordered her guards to ride along the riverbanks, pretending to seek rare herbs, secretly hoping to catch a glimpse of a boy with golden hair. They always returned with empty hands. Years passed. One late afternoon, the royal seer stumbled into the court, eyes wide and voice trembling. The king was holding counsel when the old man fell to his knees. "My lord," the seer said, "the river has shown me a vision. I see a young man, hair like the sun, skin pale as dawn. He is no ordinary man. He carries the strength of both worlds. If he lives, he will bring ruin to our kingdom." Gasps filled the hall. The king's eyes narrowed. "Where does this man come from?" "From the depths of Uloma," the seer whispered, "raised by those you call enemies, the merfolk." The king's hand slammed against the throne arm. "Then we must act before he does." That same year, Leif, now a young man, ventured closer to the river's surface than usual. The warm sunlight fascinated him, and with it came voices. Peering through the reeds, he saw fishermen hauling nets, their laughter ringing through the air. He was studying their strange clothes and clumsy land movements when a sudden splash broke the scene. A little girl had fallen into the water. Without hesitation, Leif darted forward, catching her in his arms and lifting her to the surface. She clung to him, wide-eyed, before he placed her on the shore and vanished beneath the water. By nightfall, her story had spread. A golden-haired spirit lives in the river. The tale reached the palace, and the king knew instantly the seer's vision was real. He summoned his generals. Prepare the army. We strike the merfolk before this boy can become our doom. Across the water, Queen Nereia felt the tension growing. Patrols along the shallows spotted armed humans. The merfolk warriors, loyal and fierce, sharpened their coral tridents. Leif could feel the unease in the water. Why are we preparing for battle? He asked Nereia. Because, she said, her voice heavy, the humans fear what they do not understand. And you are at the center of it. On the day of battle, the king's army lined the riverbanks, shields and spears catching the light. Across the rippling water, the merfolk gathered, tails glinting in the sun, eyes sharp and ready. At the center, Queen Nereia emerged with Leif beside her. The king's gaze locked on the young man. Something in his features, the line of his jaw, the shape of his eyes, stirred an unease he couldn't name. It was the old palace nurse, now stooped with age, who broke first. She stepped forward, tears in her eyes. My king, this is your son, born to the queen by this very river. Gasps rose on both shores. Queen Uloma herself appeared, unable to stay hidden any longer. She stepped into the water until it lapped at her knees, her voice trembling. I am your mother, she told Leif. I let fear steal you from me. I thought you were gone forever. The king's face darkened. If you are my son, then you will fight for your people. Destroy these creatures and take your place in the palace. Leif's heart pounded. He looked at Nereia, the woman who had saved him, taught him, loved him. He looked at Uloma, the woman whose blood he shared, whose eyes now mirrored his own. I will not choose between you, he said, his voice carrying over the water. If I fight, both kingdoms lose. The king's voice was thunder. Then you are against us. War erupted. Arrows hissed, tridents flashed, waves churned red. In the chaos, Leif swam to the center, his voice cutting through the screams. Stop, we are bound by the same river. Your lives and ours are tied. I am proof of that. You call me a threat. I am your bridge. The fighting slowed. Soldiers on both sides hesitated. At last, the king lowered his sword. Nereia raised her hand, signaling her warriors to stand down. In the months that followed, treaties were signed. Trade flowed between land and water. Leif moved between the palace and the choral halls, welcomed in both worlds. Queen Uloma, though she could never undo her choice, found comfort in seeing her son alive, a living proof that fear need not rule the heart. And the River Uloma, once a place of division, became the lifeblood of unity.